Hello, TandLers, and welcome back to TandL Talks, the podcast for, about, and featuring excellent educators. I'm your host, Nancy, and today we are shining a spotlight on a truly special gem in the Puyallup School District, the Karshner Museum and Center for Culture and the Arts. I'm joined by two amazing guests, Karen Higgins, who is the Karshner Museum and Arts Coordinator, and Dawn Meyerhoff, who is our Karshner Museum field trip teacher. Together, they're going to share how this one-of-a-kind museum filled with artifacts from around the world creates powerful learning experiences for our students, connects directly to Washington State learning standards, and helps kids see both their own culture and the cultures of others in meaningful ways. We'll talk about what a typical field trip looks like, why so many kids and parents remember the elephant foot, how the museum is keeping community traditions alive, and how you can bring your class or your family to experience it all. Let's jump in. Good morning, TandLers. I am here with a few special guests from the Karshner Museum. Could you please introduce yourselves, please?
Hi, I'm Karen Higgins, and I'm the Karshner Museum and Arts Coordinator, and I've been in the district 27 plus years. Started out in our special services, our special education department, and then I moved into Hunt Elementary and was the front office secretary and then the office manager for a few years. And then I moved to the district offices in 2008, and then I moved over to the museum in 2013.
Nice.
And I am Dawn Meyerhoff, and I am a Karshner Museum teacher, field trip teacher. And I have been in the district for about 12 years now, I think. I've been teaching for 25, but I was at Fir Grove for a while, and then I was the SEL teacher, and then the last 3 years I've been the museum teacher.
Welcome. Thanks to you both for being here today. Before we get started talking about the museum, I just want to ask you to think back your childhood, your early career. Is there a teacher who had an influence on you?
Mr. Eberly.
Tell me about Mr. Everly.
He was my fourth grade teacher, and I moved a lot as a child, moved a lot. In 12 years, we moved 13 times. I felt like he saw me.
I love that. How about you, Karen? Do you have a teacher that had an influence on you?
I actually have multiple. I also moved a lot up until I was in third grade, and then we landed in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm still really good friends with some of my elementary school teachers. And the two that come to my mind is Mrs. Snyder. I had her for third and fourth grade teacher, and then Miss Jetter. I had her as my fifth grade teacher.
And can you tell a little bit about why they had such an impact on you? Do you remember?
Just amazing, caring people. They were just caring about everybody. I don't really know what was more special than not special, because all of my elementary teachers were special. Not saying that my junior high and my high schools weren't, but
Right.
I just remember them more and have just stayed in communication with them.
Yeah. I love asking that question because it's just that reminder that what we all do in the business of education makes a lifelong difference for people.
Yes, it does.
Forever and ever. And I love that. So thanks for sharing. So let's talk a little bit about the museum. So what makes the Karshner Museum such a unique resource in Puyallup?
I'm going to say because we're, as I found, the only school district in the United States that has a culture and arts museum, as we have, that was left from a family as a memorial to their son. There's a lot of other school districts that have historical museums for the school districts themselves, or schools that have maybe a museum for the history of that school. But ours isn't any of that. It's a culture and arts museum that has artifacts from all over the world and brings all types of cultures together for education and socializing and fun.
Yeah. So we have this year started again doing field trips on site. What kinds of field trips are available right now?
I have done the entire field trips from the original ones before we closed down for a while. But we have a field trip talking about what a museum is, just in general. And we have one about the world, global passports, was about the world, and pieces of the puzzle, digging in the history of the past, learning about past. That one's about sources, secondary and primary sources. And then we still have our pioneer one for the little ones. But each field trip is geared towards grade levels, but not one specific. In the past, we had fourth graders went for this field trip and only this field trip, and third graders went for this field trip. Now they can be chosen. They're across grade levels.
So they're sort of bands.
There are bands, but Time Travelers is kindergarten through sixth grade.
Okay.
And I have field trips and activities for all the grade levels that fit within their standards and all, to help them be engaged and enjoy the trip.
One thing I think is really special is that we did have field trips on site for so long, and you think of all of the grown-ups in our community who have good memories about the museum. I'm excited that we're open again for field trips, so we're building that next generation.
And the elephant foot is still there.
Yes.
That's what everyone remembers.
You would not believe how many parents come in as chaperones now, and they peek into the office and go, "Is the elephant foot still here? Can I let my child smell it?" And I'm like, ugh.
They can't smell it, though, right?
No, we've got it in a
it's
case now.
case.
We've got it in a locked case now.
Yeah.
But it is out front and center for everybody to see.
It is the highlight of the museum. Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what a typical field trip looks like and feels like from the moment kids walk in to the moment they head back to school.
Well, it's fun for me. That's how it feels. They come in and we do a little, what's this field trip about, and a little background, like what is culture, what's an artifact, that kind of stuff. And then we do our activities. We have a museum walk where we have some I Spy activities and questions to focus on as we're looking through the exhibits. And then we have some table activities that we work on, actually have some learning with their standards. And
Yeah. I bet there are quite a few kids who've never been to a museum before. Is that?
it's usually a question I ask, who's been to a museum,
Yeah.
and I don't generally get more than 2 or 3 kids with their hands in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really cool from the office perspective of it, when the students walk in their first glimpse, as they're walking through the front doors, they're like, "Oh, whoa, wow, that's beautiful." You know, and then they go in and they get engaged in learning techniques with Dawn, and she does have some of our artifacts out on the tables. So there's hands-on learning with the cultures that she's working with. And then as they're leaving the museum, usually they're talking about what they've seen, what their favorite thing was. And so I always make sure the office door is open as they're coming and they're leaving, so I can hear all of that excitement coming and going.
I do the exact same thing every time I walk in. I look at the display there, and even if I've seen it 8 million times, it's still just striking. And there's always something I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that before.
Every day.
Right?
Every day.
Every day.
It's so cool.
Stand there, I'm reading, I'm looking.
Exactly.
And I almost always see something I hadn't seen before,
Right. The
noticed.
kimono that was, I don't know if it's still there, the red kimono.
I don't know that we have the red one right now. We've got
Okay.
a white one and a black one, the
Okay.
wedding kimonos
Okay.
in the exhibit.
The red one was just so stunning.
Yes,
Just
it is.
stunning. So we talked a little bit about this, but what parts of the museum spark the most excitement or curiosity or wow moments for kids?
For the kids, the Pioneer Room. They love the Pioneer Room. It's just entirely hands-on, so they can touch and do every single thing in there, and they love that. They really love the Native. I can't even tell you that there's one room. They love the Native American because they just start pointing out stuff that I like, because they've been learning about it in class. Right. They see things that they've learned about, and they're super excited about that. And then the Around the World exhibit has so many cool things from so many cultures around the world. They're just mesmerized by it. And, ooh, I found a snake, and ooh, It's fun to listen to them, like Karen said.
So one thing I heard when I talked to some teachers about the hatchery field trip for fourth graders is that a lot of their students then end up going back to the hatchery for other events later. Is that true with the museum? After kids go to a field trip, do we know, are they bringing their family back?
For the most part, I'm going to say yes. The museum also we're open most third Saturdays of the month when the Puyallup School District is in session. And most of those Saturdays, there's some type of a community event, a culture, arts, music event that goes along with it. And a lot of times, yes, the students that have been there on field trips do bring their families back.
It's fun for kids to show parents,
It is.
Here's this thing I learned.
Yes.
And then I've had parents say they came home and they talked about this and talked about this and talked about this. It's really nice that we were able to come in and see what they were talking about. And
Love that. You talked a little bit about this, Dawn, but how do your field trips connect to the Washington State Learning Standards?
Well, I have gone through the standards and looked at they're not just social studies, it's across, right? There's reading, writing, social standards all in there, and I've just aligned them with each grade level, so the activities that I have planned for each 8th grade level hit those standards that I pulled out. And it makes it difficult when you can't have a wide range of students coming, because I can't do the 5th grade field trip with 3rd through 6th graders, because the activities aren't appropriate for 3rd grade. Or I can't give them 3rd grade ones, because then they're not appropriate for 5th or 6th grade. That's the more difficult part there, but as long as we stay with it, grades coming. Yep. Only 5th graders are coming for this one, and only whatever, then it's good to go.
Yeah. So are there particular units or topics where a museum visit is a really strong fit?
I think because I included standards pretty widely across the curriculum within their grade levels, I think the field trips fit pretty well. Just any grade level, no matter what they've been studying. I've had some teachers come in and ask about the Native American, and while the unit isn't about Native American, we do have the gallery open, so they can go in and experience things. Or when their 2nd grade learns about pioneers, but we don't have a field trip for that at the museum for 2nd grade. It's too young for them, but that's open when they do come, and so they can go in there and look at that and tie it to their curriculum as well, what they do. So that's nice.
So how accessible are the field trips, the experiences for kids maybe who are multilanguage learners, who are kids with disabilities, classes with diverse needs? How accessible are things?
I think it's widely accessible. That's just how I teach and always have. And I've had a class with hearing students, and I just put the mic on that they brought along with, and we could connect to them. And I'm really good with the kids that need that extra attention. We just have a lot of fun.
Yep.
We do, and I'm going to add to that. It hasn't happened yet this year, but in the past when we had field trips, if we had non-English speakers, we would get or have a translator come into the classroom so that they could work with them. So it's very accessible. As far as setting up for students that have motion disabilities, we try to have the museum always set up so it's wheelchair accessible or if somebody has a walker or something like that, that they're able to get around to be able to see everything. And we have things up high. I shouldn't say we don't have things up high, so they can't necessarily see them because, our audience is the Puyallup School District students, and which elementary tends to be a little bit on the shorter side. So we try to keep items down low. But if we do, our exhibit designer does put exhibits or artifacts up high, then we have some platforms that we could put up for the students to step on to be able to see them
nice.
that are secure.
Nice. Thank you. Do you offer pre or post visit materials, resources, or classroom activities that you recommend?
I don't know that I recommend anything per se, because most of the stuff they're teaching in class, it's just going to fit into what they're already doing.
Right.
So there's no necessarily any prep for them that they have to do. But I do send each teacher a letter that has the standards we'll be covering so they can look at that. There's some ideas for possible preparing your students for the museum. There's even a sample parent message to go out so that they can just pop that into their parent square and just be done with it.
Nice. Nice.
Not have to think what to write.
Exactly. I think anything like that we can do to make things quicker and easier for teachers just allows them to just enjoy the experience with their students.
And that's just a letter. And then we have a quick step-by-step to doing the field trips, and that's on the Karshner site.
It is actually on the website as well as in the hub for the teachers as well. So it's in both places. Because if we have enough days in Dawn's schedule during the school year, we do welcome out-of-district field trips as well.
Great.
So this year she got filled up already, so there's
For the
no
entire
more.
year.
For the entire
no
year,
slots
no
open
slots.
anymore.
That's exciting.
It's so teachers are ready to get back into the museum and do the field trips.
That is super exciting.
It's super exciting.
So many of the exhibits connect to community history and culture. How do you help students make sense of their place in our local community?
I think that when we are bringing these cultures, these different cultures to light, and we're like, for example, yesterday's field trip had students looking at different celebrations around the world, and I had some students who were recognizing celebrations their family did. We had one family, one child who was, we do the Day of the Dead, and she was able to talk about what they do in their family for that event, for that celebration. And then someone else was collecting the holly and the Diwali cards because they connected with that. Those two celebrations, they do those in their family. So they were able to talk about those with the class. And then I always ask the kids, why do we care? Do we do this? And they are always, because then we get to know about other people and we can care about other people. And I just love that kind of answer. I know, right?
That is so sweet.
Yes. When first graders are saying that to you, it's the best.
Yeah, I love that it's that concept of mirrors and windows, right? When they can see themselves and their culture at the museum, but then they also can see windows into other people all at the same time. I love that.
Yeah.
So that's a very good description. I love that too.
Yeah. The celebration activity I was talking about, that's one of the things, is looking at how they're similar to each other and how we are all kind of celebrating the same things in our own way around the world.
Right.
So it's fun.
Yeah. So the museum is known as the Karshner Center for Culture and the Arts. What kinds of events, exhibits, cultural experiences does that include?
We do 3 culture and arts events through the year. Prior to COVID, prior to 2020, we did 6. We're down to 3 now. But it just brings everybody together so that if we do, the Dia de la Raza, the Hispanic celebration, and Puyallup is actually fairly diverse, and we get community members from everywhere. They come down from Seattle, they come in from Tacoma to come to the community events. And so it's just highlighting the different cultures, and so it helps others understand and the cultures. And then if you're in that culture, it helps you appreciate and be proud of your culture and the fact that we're celebrating it. Yeah.
So the museum, of course, is open to families and community members. How do they know what events or what opportunities there are for the museum?
We publicize on our social media as well as our website, which is connected to the Puyallup School District website. And Puyallup School District also publicizes all of our events, and they put it in the Connections, which is the newspaper for the school district that goes out quarterly. They put it on the newsletters that go out weekly to parents, community, and staff members. And then we also have flyers that we have volunteers that take out into our immediate community, Puyallup, and put in local businesses. We have our Friends of the Museum, which is technically our PTA, and they also publicize on their Facebook, their social media, their web page, and out like that.
So talk to me about the Friends of the Museum. Who are they and what do they do?
The Friends of the Museum are a group of individuals that volunteer their time to help the museum and help raise money to help us do events and purchase necessary items that we may need for the exhibits. Most of them have been involved in the museum for years. We actually have 2 descendants from the Karshner family on our Friends of the Museum, so that's pretty special. So the family is still uniquely involved in the museum. Those 2 Karshner descendants also sit on the Friends of the Museum board, and frequently we have other Karshner member families that come in from out of town for our events or donations or anything like that. But they meet once a month, and myself and Amanda Kraft meet with them, and Jamie Lee, she's our executive director for the district over categorical and federal programs. She also sits on the board. And so as district members, we meet with them to go over what we're doing. They actually host 5 of our third Saturdays this year. So they're having some very unique events that they're hosting as well. So they're just very involved.
I love that. And I love that the descendants, the Karshner family, is still involved. That is very special, isn't it?
It is very special.
Gosh.
Yeah, very special people.
So if a teacher out there wants to schedule a field trip for next year, since this year's already booked, what do they need to know ahead of time, and what do they need to do?
They go to our website, and there's the field trip drop down, and they go to that, and actually I think it's under events, right? Field trips are under events.
Correct.
And then there's everything you need to know there, and the form is there to fill it out and send it to me with names and school and numbers of students. Has the max number of kids for everything you need to know is right on that page for the field trips. And I would imagine, like this year, the field trips didn't start right away because of the rescheduling or doing everything and making all the new trips. Next year they'll start earlier, so there'll be more opportunity for people to sign up for them.
Great.
And I'm going to join in on that conversation. They can find out everything they need to know on our website, the Karshner Center website, under events, and then it's field trips. However, I have had the form that they would fill out to request the field trips turned off.
For this year.
For this year, and there's a note on it stating, and on the front of our field trip webpage, that the form will reopen on September 1st.
Okay.
So they can start scheduling again. If somebody wanted to schedule one the first part, like the first week when school first opens, I would recommend that they call the museum or send an email to us, and then we can have Dawn look at the schedule and see what's going on and get them scheduled.
Great. So do you have a favorite story of a kid or a class who had a powerful or unexpected learning moment at the Karshner Museum?
I don't know that I have. I mean, other than the cute little moments that I see them just loving, like I said, the celebration moments when they were just being able to talk about what they do in their family to celebrate it. And I just really enjoy listening to their stories when they're talking, their questions, their connections that they make to things. The questions of what did you see today that you can connect with, or what your favorites were, and they're just so insightful on differences and sameness and how it's just awesome. I just enjoy all of it.
I don't have one either. Every time there's a field trip in there, I have a new favorite moment, a new favorite student with their excitement and how they express it. And it happens every time there's a field trip. There's just not one standout moment for me. They're all standout moments.
Love that. I also think of the science of reading that tells us that kids who have background knowledge are much better able to access reading comprehension. And I just think this is another example of an experience that builds background knowledge for kids.
So true.
From just the experience of being at a museum and then the actual content, and all of that gets tucked away in their brains. And someday when they're parents, they will come back to the museum and say, Where's that elephant foot?
Barbie said we hear that all the time. All the time.
Was it a couple years ago we were looking at what we were going to refurbish, what we were going to keep, what we were not, and that one was one of the things on the
everybody's list. You got to keep it.
But it was like, oh no, that's staying.
Yeah. And the museum had a huge makeover, like
it did back in 2012-13.
Okay.
We reopened in the school year 13-14. That's when I went over. So a major renovation, and took it back to, because it was originally a school, and that's what it was portrayed as. But through the years, each one of the rooms, including the gym, which is now our great room, had been blocked off into smaller rooms, and all of that was taken out, and it was put back into the original vision of what the original school was back in the 1930s. And the gym is now our great room, which is
longhouse.
Thank you. Designed after the longhouses.
Yes.
So it's meant to be a gathering space for socializing, for learning, all that kind of things.
Yeah. We hold a lot of professional development there for our administrators, for teachers, other groups. And it's just such a beautiful room, and it is such a great space for grown-up learning as well as kid learning.
It is.
It's bright and light in there. And sometimes you get in those meeting rooms and they're just these dark little caves that you're just falling asleep in the meeting. But no, I like meetings in that.
Yeah, and I'd love to give a little shout out to Brian Fox, who was instrumental in that work, and Casey Cox.
Yes, they did. The other thing that they were very instrumental in doing is working with the Secretary of State's office with their Legacy Washington program. Annually, we get the latest exhibit that Legacy Washington has had on display at the state capitol, and we host it in our Great Hall.
So tell me about that. What is that? What is there right now? How often that changes annually?
It will change annually now. It was changing twice a year.
That's what I thought.
Because in the past we did third grade field trips that were designed around the Native American education, and we're no longer hosting those field trips. And so we're only going to be changing the exhibit out once a year. And
it's
1968, the year that changed Washington State, I believe it's called. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's correct
okay.
or not, but I think that's close.
As I ask that question, I'm thinking, I have looked at that a million times when I've been in there, and clearly I need to look a little deeper.
And I look at it every day, and I apologize, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that we have up right now.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a great exhibit. Every exhibit that Legacy Washington creates wraps around the development, the progress, and the culture of Washington State. So they pretty much always fit right into what we've got at the museum.
Neat. Anything else that you'd like our community to know, our teachers to know about the field trips or the museum in general?
I think the one thing we haven't talked about yet is we are open to the public, not only on those third Saturdays that I've already talked about. We're also open to the public 1 to 4 p.m., Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when the Puyallup School District is in session. Our doors do remain locked, so if you do come and visit us, ring the doorbell, and I will greet you at the door and I will let you in.
And we have a lot of self-guided activities you can do if you do come in on those days. You don't need a teacher. They're just everything there for you to enjoy the exhibits.
Great. Well, thank you both for being here today. I appreciate your passion for the work of the museum and your commitment to our students and to our community. Thanks for being here on TandL Talks.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much to Karen and Dawn for joining me today and for the heart and creativity you pour into the Karshner Museum and into our students every day. If you're a teacher listening out there and you're interested in scheduling a field trip for next year, you can find all the details, including grade level field trip options, standards connections, and the request form on the Karshner Museum page linked from the Puyallup School District website. Remember, the request form will reopen on September 1, and slots fill up quickly. If you're a family or community member, the museum's open to the public from 1 to 4 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays when school is in session, as well as most third Saturdays for special cultural events. Just ring the doorbell when you arrive, and you'll be welcomed in to explore. And one more thing. We would love to hear from those of you who visited the Karshner Museum when you were a kid. If you have old photos or stories from your own museum visit, please send them to karshnercenter@puyallupsd.org. We would love to highlight the museum's impact on our community over time and celebrate the memories that shaped you. Whether you're visiting with a class or with your own kids, every trip builds background knowledge, sparks curiosity, and helps our students better understand themselves and the world around them. Thanks for joining us on TandL Talks. Make sure to hit that follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music so you never miss an episode. Every follow from you helps us reach even more amazing educators who are passionate about teaching and learning. Until next time, Tandlers, keep lifting up learning and honoring the stories of our community.